WPKYonline.com. Contest ends August 1st. Also, be sure to shop Herb Hayes Furniture for Big Diamond Jubilee savings.
West Kentucky Real Estate and Auction holds monthly auctions at the Auction Center on U.S. Highway 62 in Princeton, in the former Hancock's grocery store. Be sure to check their website for dates and times and listings of auctions and days at the Auction Center. WestKentuckyRealEstate.com has all of their upcoming auctions listed. If you would like to have an auction or would like to find out how to consign at an auction, contact West Kentucky Real Estate and Auction. Wayne Boyd, broker auctioneer.
Grab your cup and be a part of the conversation. Coffee Talk on 1580 103.3 WPKY, worldwide at WPKYonline.com.
It is that time of year, and I get so excited. Number one, the kids are going back to school. All the mamas get excited about that. I'm sorry. Miss Pat said, don't act like that. Well, don't tell me you didn't get excited when Chris went to school.
I did.
Uh-huh.
I got excited when I worked there that I was going to get to see my kids again.
Isn't that awesome? Of course, but about this time of year, that's when we start thinking about the Black Patch, because it's coming. Mm-hmm. But that means it's time for Dotson Days, right?
That's correct.
It's that time every year, and I think everybody kind of looks forward to it. And it's like we were talking about a homecoming. Well, Dotson Days is a homecoming for a lot of folks, isn't it?
For a lot of folks, yeah.
And if you don't know who I've got in the studio this morning, I love her to death, Miss Pat George. I think everybody knows her. Everybody loves her. And
thank you, Tess.
We do. I'm going to embarrass her this morning. But guess who else I got this? How did you get him to come in?
Micheal Copeland.
I know.
Well, Micheal and I go way back, and so
Miss Pat knows people.
Micheal and Cody McGregor, who organized Dotson Days for 2021. I was going to kind of sit back and relax, and then they started asking me some questions, and then sometimes during the show, I'm going to tell you what else we're going to be doing. I'm going to be doing that day. So Micheal and them kind of pull me in. I guess they need some wisdom. I don't know what they needed.
I think you've got a lot of the wisdom. I do. Micheal Copeland, I appreciate you, buddy, for coming in this morning. Is she not a peach? I love her.
I truly love her. Truly love her.
And I'll tell you, Cody has been amazing. And
Yes,
I wish to goodness he could sit here so that I could tell him thank you so much, because I did. I reached out and I said, hey, I know you don't know me, but how about we get to know each other? Let's do a little something, a lot of something. And I think one of what I told Cody was, I said, it seems like we don't ever get enough time. And I thought, you know what? Let's just do it on the Fridays, heading up to Dotson. Let's talk about the history, and let's talk about the things, and why is it there, and that pretty girl and the other pretty girls that were over there that's been running this thing for years.
You're exactly right. And we truly appreciate this promotion. We truly do.
Well, it's a part of this is who Princeton is,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, this is part of our history. And doggone, you talk about historic now, Dotson, that takes you back a minute.
Takes me back. And I'm just going to kind of go back and tell you a little bit. I went to Dotson School. And in the 1980s, or early 1980s, Miss Meston, Susan Meston, was doing a history book of Caldwell County. And she called me and she said, hey, Pat, I got something you can do. And I said, what? And she said, I want you to get together the history of Dotson School. Put it in the history book. We're doing a county history book. And so I took Chris along, and we went to the library, and we talked to some of the people the older, and I hate to say older, the senior community members, and we got kind of some background, some history together. Then it started, hey, you got to do this school, you got to do that church. So I was really enjoying doing this. And then the late Sam Stigger, who was Caldwell County historian, called me and said, hey, we got a project going on. I want you to help me. So we started getting more information about the Dotson community, Dotson School and the community. So a lot of folks don't know, before it was the actual Dotson building here that I'm holding up, It was a white frame school in 1910.
Oh, wow.
And it's over there now. It's just the ball field or a vacant field. The walking trail is around it. But in 1945, WPA came through, and the need for a new school started. So the WPA, they came in there and constructed. And in 1945, they had the gym part completed to hold that graduation for those students that year. So we have all of this documented. Folks don't know that Dotson had their own school board. And then when they could not maintain, with people leaving the community, going north or wherever.
Kids grow up, don't they?
And kids grow up and leave. They couldn't afford to maintain a school. So that's when Dotson went into the Caldwell County school system. And then here comes 1963. And a survey, the parents had been working behind the scenes. And I'm going to tell Michael and Brother Wesley, and you too, Tess, that back then the parents didn't talk to the kids about what's going on. They were doing it. So I can vividly remember my aunt, who was my guardian at the time, came in and told me and my sister, hey, how would y'all like to go to Caldwell County School next year? And me, no, I'm going to be a senior. And she said... Oh,
you were that close to graduating then?
Yes, 1 year. And she said, well, it's a done deal, and we'll announce this, going to be announced. And here, pick your classes that you want to take, because at Dotson, they only offered like 15 classes. Caldwell County, at the time, I'm thinking, I don't have my glasses, but I'm thinking they offered, we had 15, they had 55.
Oh, my goodness.
So we went to that class.
So what class did you want when you saw that list? What class stood out for you?
Well, when I got there, when we started looking, I had all the requirements to graduate except a government class and a chemistry class. Oh, wow. I'd never set foot in a chemistry lab at all. But the late Harry Bird made us all feel comfortable when we walked in there. Not Harry, but yeah, his dad. What was his dad's name?
I started to say I love Harry.
I can't. No, Mr. Bird. I'll just say Mr. Bird. And then I took typing, and my government, of course, and my chemistry. But then I made new friends, and I kept in touch with those 5 guys and 1 girl.
Oh.
Me was the only. We were going to graduate from Dotson, and I'm sad to say all of my classmates, with the exception of Greg Smith and myself, the 5 that would have graduated within that year, have passed on.
Now, what year would that graduating class have been?
The class of 64.
Wow. Did you get any little pins for typing when you took that class?
No. I don't think.
I
don't
to
know.
ask. My dad took typing back at the Butler Building back in the day, and he got a little pin for it. That he was pretty good at it, I guess, but that was back in the day, so I thought I'd
I don't
ask.
know.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
didn't. I don't think. I don't know. But, and that's where Dotson School was. And, we had a regional championship game that played on up in the state championship until that Saturday morning, and they called them the Fabulous 5. Michael has 2 granddaddies that played on
I
that.
started to
ma'am.
say, now what's that mean to you, Cope? Because I bet you know 1 or 2, right?
That's the reason why I play in that tournament every year. Basketball tournament that we have is because of them. I had Uncle Stuart Boyd, Granddaddy Felix, and Granddaddy Marvin Copeland. They all played on that team.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a wonderful team too, though. So when they integrated, it was a perfect idea. It was to put the best of the other,
both.
and the best of us. So if you put them all together, Caldwell ran things for a while.
Well, now see,
For a
that's why I
while.
wanted to do this so bad, because
That was part of the only regional championship team, if I'm not mistaken,
Other than Matt Fralick's them, I'll give them their credit.
Yeah, Matt and them and
Yes,
stuff. But
sir.
I think, Coach Harry Bird was the coach
Mm-hmm.
of that regional team. So it's as well. That was probably one of the besides Matt
And now that you say that, they lost in the regional championship. So you're right.
Yeah,
that
on
was
that.
the only regional championship.
They said, now you ain't got to
team.
bring that up.
yeah.
You know,
I love those 17.
That's what I
Yeah.
love. That's what one of the reasons why I wanted to do this so bad
Yes,
is
ma'am.
because the basketball tournaments are going on.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
how many people know that those basketball tournaments that are going on, there's a reason for that
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it's a history thing. It's not just a game.
That's exactly
That's
right.
part of history.
That's
Yes,
part of
ma'am. And
history.
all the proceeds go back into putting up something on the park. So something that we can do on the park. We're not taking none of the money and putting it in our pockets. This came about because of COVID. COVID shut it down last year, and because of COVID reasons, they couldn't get the donations to have Dotson Day this year. So as a community, we just all put together and just said, well, it's a public park, so if we want to have something, we're going to have it regardless. So that's what we done. With the help of a lot of people. I'm going to name some and a few, but the community, I have to thank the community of Princeton, whether it be Princeton, Eddyville, or wherever the surrounding counties, whoever donated to us, I'd like to thank you very, very much, because without y'all, this wouldn't happen. So
But that's what Dotson's all about, is community.
You're
though,
exactly
right? I
right.
mean, it's
You're exactly
that's
right.
exactly what it was there for. Who
Okay.
was your favorite teacher back in the day at Dotson?
Oh, all of them, but my favorite would be a lady from Elton, Kentucky, the late Bonnie Bell.
Oh,
Because it was like, hey, she was great.
Jack Bird.
Jack Bird.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roy
Bird.
Jean.
Thank you, Roy Jean.
appreciate it for
Okay.
listening and radio.
Okay,
Messaging that in.
Yeah.
Truly
Tess, I want to
appreciate
tell you
that.
how Dotson Days actually began.
I'd love to.
It's in the about the spring of 1980. The late Katie Smith Harmon of Princeton and the late Ruth McNary Naylor, who was a graduate or a former resident of Princeton who resided in Chicago at the time, was having a conversation how families came back to Princeton, at various times, and they said, hey, wouldn't it be neat if we could have a reunion?
Oh.
And so then they started contacting family members. Back then we had a bunch of clubs in the community, the churches, and different people, and they formed a committee. And then August of 1980 was the first reunion. We didn't even have the pavilion there. Everything happened on the basketball court. Every family brought food. We had music, local music, local people just playing music. And then we kind of ventured out and had this group out of Franklin, Kentucky for a couple of 3 years. The Fender Bender Band played in the park. And so it just went on from there. But it's an idea that came from these two ladies, and that's where Dotson Days began.
An idea. Somebody had an idea.
Two ladies that were friends. And I don't know, they could have been classmates. I don't know. But that's how it did. And it just grew, and then here it is. Kind of took a break due to COVID, but it's back again. And
Well, does that not show you like how important it is to so many?
Oh, absolutely.
ma'am.
absolutely,
Ma'am.
it is. And to this, I want to just say hats off to this group that's doing it this year. Hats off to them. They pulled it together in a matter of
We got a month.
a month. I'm going to say a month.
At the max, probably about a month.
a
Yes,
month,
ma'am.
and it just started a month. Hey, so if a group of young people can get together and get this together in a month, I can't wait till get over there next Saturday morning. I'll be there for most of the day.
Be there with bells on, won't you?
Oh yeah, because I got something special going on that day.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
is the one thing, if you could look at Cope and you know, the next generation and the next generation, what is the one thing, as somebody that went to school at Dotson and that has been there through all of it, what's the one thing you want to leave with them that they always remember? What's the one thing?
Oh, well, you know, Dotson had a slogan, once the Bearcat, always the Bearcat.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm going to tell the next generation to always teach the next generation the history of your community. Don't add to it, don't take from it, and go find somebody that knows. So that's the reason I'm going to pass my personal book along to the person that's going to read the history next weekend, and then he's going to let Micheal read it, and then I want it back, so it'll always be around for somebody to know about.
ma'am.
Well, it's important. I know. I think it's very important.
It's important that we teach the next generation. Each generation needs to know who was responsible for this.
Well, that's how we learn, isn't it,
And we
Miss
learn,
Pat?
yes,
I mean, how
ma'am.
many lessons do we learn through our history and remembering that history?
Yes.
Right.
Whether it be Dotson Park or our community or
the
Caldwell County in general,
Princeton in general.
you need to know about both. You don't need to know about just us. You need to know about
Everybody.
the actual city of Princeton.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which that's what a lot of credit needs to go to Coda, because as a young man stepping in there being a mayor and what he's done with these roads and the community, I applaud him.
Yeah.
I truly
We all
do.
applaud
I
him.
truly
Yeah,
applaud
absolutely.
that man.
Absolutely.
I truly do.
Yeah.
And this is what makes Caldwell County great.
Yes, sir.
We're all part of this together.
I like that.
We're all part of this
Yes,
together.
sir.
It's not white, black.
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
community.
It's us.
Yes,
It's
sir.
us, and that's what makes Princeton and Caldwell County great.
Well, that's how
Yes,
it was
sir.
intended.
right.
And you know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's what they intended at
Yes,
the
ma'am.
beginning.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we forget about, look, this is the way it was supposed to be for a reason.
Exactly
Yes.
right.
And let's do that.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
again, the history I think is key with that, even down to the basketball tournaments
Yes,
or
ma'am.
whatever else
This
you're
is
doing. You know, that when it hints back to a in some ways a better day,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Right.
Exactly
That's what-
right.
Okay.
Exactly
this
right.
makes it better.
Better.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
tell
sir. Whether it
someone-
be Dotson Day or Black
Black
Patch.
Patch.
Fletcher,
Yes, sir.
It's right.
whatever.
Yes,
It
sir.
makes
Need
us come
to
together.
Be to
Yes,
come
sir.
together.
Well, and I think it's all about when community members talk to each other, and don't just not talk to each other. Sit down and talk about
Right.
things.
Have
Yeah.
a conversation.
Yes, look at each other in the face. And I think if nothing else during COVID, that's one of the things that we kind of missed.
Yeah.
Is looking at. I
Exactly.
tell Heather all the time when she comes in, man, I just want to see your face because you miss seeing
You
people.
missing. I
Exactly
did.
right.
I said when COVID started, we were in the house, but then when it got out, I'd sit on my front porch with my mask on or go to the grocery store once a week or something just to see people.
Yes, ma'am.
Tess, can I step back and tell y'all where the name Dotson came from?
Miss Pat, I love you so much. You could be here all day. We could step back all day as much as you want, sweet girl.
Okay, the first school was called the Princeton High School, the one in 1910. But then, this prominent black businessman, or let's say, I'm not going to say black, man of color, named John Dotson, had the whole block from Calvert Street to Young Street, Donovan Street, that whole block. Micheal didn't know it. He owned that. And when they talked about a new school, he sold it to them. We don't know if it says a nominal fee when you go look at the deed book back then, a nominal fee. So I questioned, what's a nominal fee? Somebody said it could be free. Somebody said it could be a quarter. Somebody said 50 cents, but not over $1.
Oh.
So when I was doing research with Sam Stigger, Sam called me and said, hey, you know anything about John Dotson? And I said, everybody in the community calls him Uncle John, and his wife, Aunt Alvia. And he said, had you ever thought about it? And I said, no, not really. He said, well, that's your great uncle. I said, no, not. He said, I said, hold up, I'm gonna go find out. So I went and asked my aunt, and she said, yes, it is. But she said, I thought we had told you all. So that's where it was. But it's neat, the price of that land.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if it might have been free, and it might have been it wasn't over $1.
Yeah.
So
And you wouldn't have known if you hadn't asked the question.
Right.
hadn't asked the question.
Exactly.
Hadn't
Right.
asked the question. So I went and looked at the deed book to see where he deeded it to, and it was called back then it was called the Negro School. And see, that's history. And I said $1, and they said, think of what in the 1940s, what a dollar would have bought.
Didn't you say a block?
Yeah.
A whole block from Calvert
Definitely.
Street this way, Donovan Street this way, and a section of Young Street. That's what it was.
Well, and you're talking about a time in history when folks didn't have a lot back then. And what
Exactly.
little they did have,
That's
they had to
right.
hold on to.
Exactly.
So I had to, when you tell me something, I'm going to stop and go look and see if it's
I love it.
the truth.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, that's what we love about Miss Pat, and that's that inquisitive nature, though. I think that you learn,
Right.
And you learn a lot by listening, don't you, Miss Pat?
Yes, you do. I learn a lot.
Definitely do.
What do you think, Cope? What's your plans from here on out? Have you guys already started talking? I bet you've already started talking about next year, haven't
Well,
you?
we've already discussed next year, and when we had our meeting out here at Hardy's, the Dotson Park board kind of shut us down for any future dealings with Dotson Day. But as of right now, we're trying to come up with a group. We first have to get a foundation to where I have a foundation, but I don't have it legally. So where when people donate stuff, they can write it off as a tax write-off.
Well, there you go.
So that's the first thing we're gonna have done by next summer. And with that being said, we don't plan on having Dotson Day, but probably around between April and June, we'll have something on our own
Well, there you go.
because the community board wants to have the Dotson Day for themselves.
They
from
got to
now
start
on.
somewhere,
You
don't they,
gotta
Miss Pat?
start somewhere, and this conversation that we had yesterday, that you got to start somewhere,
Right.
And you got to.
He didn't know when he asked the question. See how
Exactly
that's
right.
working?
Exactly right.
See how that's working?
Asking it in an unconventional way, but it still got to where it needed to be. Now we have a Dotson Day like everybody wanted.
Well, there you go.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
What is the one thing that you've learned from them, that Miss Pat and the folks that are telling the history? What's the one thing that you want to take away? I asked her what's the one thing she hopes you guys, latch on to. So what's the one thing you latched on to?
The image. It's not about what you are doing or how you are putting off. Well, let me take it back. I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm a little nervous, but it's about the image of you. It ain't about what you're doing or how you come off as a person. It's about how somebody else sees you. So if you're out here doing something that isn't so positive, somebody else sees that, then you got to think about what they're going to think about you. So with that being said, we have to come out here and we have to do the right things. We have to teach these young folks the opposite of what we learned a little bit, if I say that, because it wasn't easy coming up the way we did. But if I could say that I didn't learn from Miss George, like she's a city council member, like these type of things coming from me, I look at it and be like, well, there's opportunity. That's one thing Princeton offers. There's opportunity in Caldwell County.
right.
Exactly.
Whether
Plenty
it
of
be
them.
good or bad, there's opportunity. And the decisions that you make lead to that opportunity. So with that being said, to all my young folks, first of all, you have to put a priority in school and learning as much as you can. And then your persona. Remember, somebody's watching no matter what. And if somebody's always watching, you need to be at least trying to walk a straight line. You ain't got to be perfect.
Right.
The Lord wasn't perfect, right?
Yeah, he was.
The
Yeah, he
Lord
was
was
perfect.
perfect.
He was
The
perfect.
Lord was perfect, but nobody else was created perfect.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
Okay,
right.
Exactly.
excuse me. But nobody else is perfect, so you're going to make mistakes. You're going to do things that some people ain't going to like. But if you do it nobly, then in the end, you can sleep with that. And that's something that I would like to leave with the young folks, because that's something that took me a long time to learn. I'm 29. It took me probably about 27, 28 before I realized that. So y'all add up how much time that is.
You know what, though? Somebody is always, them little eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
They're
They're
watching.
always looking.
ma'am.
Always
Exactly.
watching.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's a
ma'am.
lesson that we can all take away from it. And I think don't let go of Dotson. You know,
Right.
let's not let go of the history of it. Let's
Right.
talk more about it. And let's not wait just once a year to talk about Dotson. Let's talk
ma'am.
about the history of all of it. So we do remember that it was a block and $1 and what a nominal.
A
What nominal
fee,
means.
And it could be $1 and it could have been free.
How
Who
cool
knows?
is that?
And
How
I'm-
many kids have walked through those doors because of that nominal
Little
fee,
fee.
though?
Exactly.
Exactly.
that
I wish
amazing?
I knew. Okay. And
And I don't want to read off a passage to y'all, but I do want to give thanks to the people that kind of helped us amongst what we're doing and the donations and things. So I'm gonna read this off to y'all, so bear with me. First off, we'd like to thank you, Tessa Cohen, and the radio station, WPKY 103.3.
We love you.
for having us. Second, we would also like to thank the community for helping us make this all come together on such notices. Churches, businesses, and people have done a great job coming together for such an event with very short notice. From Cody McGregor, Ashley and Patrick Murphy, Carl Copeland, Latia Hurd, Quisha Riley, Crystal Murray, Jerome Brown, DeMonte Hobson, and Kataja Harris, even Leslie LaRue. Not one pulling more weight than the other. Our biggest sponsors being Barkley Hudson and State Farm, Brandon Sigler and Christ Tabernacle, and Jake Pepper and Planters Brink. So with that being said, we thank y'all very much. We will have Dotson Day, which is next Friday, August the 6th, starting at 12 midday when they're going to give out the park history, then water balloon toss. It's mostly for the kids on Friday, so water balloons, school supplies, youth basketball, youth football throw, youth basketball, youth dance party. I don't know why they got basketball on there twice, but Saturday we have...
Because we really want to play basketball.
Yeah, we make sure
We want
basketball. And then Saturday is for the adults, which we have bingo in the morning, like 10 a.m. is when it's supposed to start. The basketball tournament will start at that same time. We'll have a cakewalk every hour on the hour from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Toot, toot.
That's my addition right there. That's what I wanted too.
There
I
you
want them
go.
cakes in there. And then they're going to have the park history read out again. And if we have the cakewalk starting at 11 a.m. on every hour, so 11, 12 to 7, and then they'll have a raffle every hour on the hour too, which would be, if it's the cakewalk starts at 11, the raffle's going to start at 11:30. To where if you want to be in the cakewalk and you want to be in the raffle, you can be in both.
Bring it all.
I want it all.
I want it
I
all.
want cake. I want
I
wouldn't
want
mind
my
a poly
cake
ice
and eat
pizza.
it too. Miss Pat.
There you know what I mean? And I don't think there's no charge for none of that. It's all donated, so I think it's absolutely
I think it's free from
You
what
just-
I'm hearing.
You just pretty much show up.
Don't forget what's going to happen Sunday in the park.
Church in the park Sunday.
All right.
Carl Copeland. Carl
Copeland.
Carl Copeland gonna be up there having us a service, and it's gonna be nice. So if you
Bring
just want to
it.
pull up a lawn chair and
So
pull on
bring
up.
up your lawn chair and come on at 11 o'clock.
Everybody's invited.
And the
Everyone.
information's online. If
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
spitting it out and they can't write it down, we can find
Yes,
it,
ma'am.
right?
You can
And
find
we'll
it.
post it, I guarantee. Won't we, Heather? There's my boo back
Okay,
there.
Yeah, truly appreciate
And we're
that.
going to have free Wi-Fi all day.
How cool is that?
If we
love
go
it.
all day Saturday, if you want to come up, and we'll have 3 hot spots there in the park. And if you don't have Wi-Fi, just come over and see the old gal sitting under a tent, and she'll give you a password. And it's going to be courtesy of T-Mobile, the City of Princeton, Mayor Dakota Young, Dr. T. Chris George, and of course me. And we're going to have that Wi-Fi. all day long. The hot spots have arrived.
I'm going to tell you what, I cannot thank both of you enough for coming in. And I can't wait to see, because Cody set it up for somebody to come in next week and talk, and I can't wait to see what we learn that week.
Yes,
and you know what? Let's have some fun, Miss Pat.
And don't forget the cornhole.
Don't forget
Don't forget the cornhole.
Well, I didn't want to say too much.
I forgot you was the champ.
That's my cornhole woman back there.
Okay.
Y'all gonna play?
Girl, now we play some cornhole.
Y'all gonna come up?
I
with
didn't
it?
know I played cornhole until after she taught me, and then
Well, maybe
fine.
you can kind of lay the mic down and
toss a couple bags.
and toss some bags.
Toss a couple bags.
Where'd Tess go? Oh, she's playing cornhole.
never mind, she's playing cornhole. Miss
Actually,
Pat,
she'll
I
get the
appreciate
cakewalk.
you. I appreciate
You'll
you
be-
so much, and from the
Yeah.
bottom of my heart, I love you so much.
I love
and
you too.
you are you're a role model for kids and have been for decade upon
Absolutely.
decade.
True story.
And we cannot say thank you enough to you.
Thank you.
And one last thing, don't forget the health department will be there. They will be giving out COVID shots that you will be entered in that $1 million draw. And they will be giving out HIV tests that you'll get a free gift card for. So if you like me and you like free money, let's go up here and get this HIV test.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you,
Mr.
Tess.
Copeland.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to call you Mr. Copeland now. You've earned
I
that.
sound
Do you
official
hear me?
now. I'm official.
You're
y'all.
official, bro.
Share the love at
Put my check.
Dotson
I
Days.
want
Come
my
on.
check.
Thanks for joining us this morning for Coffee Talk.
Good morning, Carl. Again.
Our chance to get together and catch up on what's going on in our area.
Thanks for letting me come over, you guys.
Got a show idea or something you'd like to share? Email Tess at WPKYonline@gmail.com.
We'll be down to visit real soon.
For additional information on today's topics and past guests, visit our website at WPKYonline.com.
Y'all come back now.
Welcome home.
We'll be back soon. I promise.
Come back now.
1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton, an Edge Media Group station.
They say variety is the spice of life. We all want choices. Men and women want to pick what they want. When it's time to select that special truck, Trice Hughes in Princeton has the variety. 3 brands to choose from: Chevrolet, GMC, and Ram. Whether you're a farmer, whether you're pulling a camper with your favorite person, or whether you just want to drive a truck, Trice Hughes in Princeton has your truck. Stop by and pick out your truck today.
Find them on Highway 91 North Princeton or at tricehughes.com.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Hancock's Neighborhood Market.
Planters Bank, located at 208 North Jefferson Street, is locally owned and operated with a strong, sincere focus on customer service. Planters Bank has a diverse team of seasoned professionals in Western Kentucky and Clarksville, Tennessee. Since